grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street.
Hi, welcome to another Sunny Side of the Street. I'm your host, Todd Gross, clinical psychologist in Newton. And our show, The Sunny Side of the Street, which we've been doing for 25 years, I don't believe it, but it's true, we really try to look at the side of human nature that gets very little attention in the media. And that is the positive side, the side of human beings where they try to help other people, they overcome odds, they try, and organizations as well, try to really make a difference in people's lives. And today's show is really interesting because I have somebody that has been involved in so many different things that have impacted people in a positive way that I have a long introduction for him. And then we will talk about some of the things that he's been involved in, and I hope that you enjoy hearing about it. Jackson Madnick has made many contributions to our world in the diverse roles he has played as a multimedia show designer who planned concerts, fireworks, and theme park shows, as an electrical and mechanical engineer, as an inventor, as a longtime environmentalist, which is very important, and water resources and sustainability expert, and as a tireless and determined researcher who has developed innovative ways to save energy, improve surface and groundwater quality, and create healthier lawns that require no fertilizer and require dramatically less time, money, water, and result in less greenhouse gases, so that protects the environment. From his own struggle with cancer, he is also very knowledgeable about anti-cancer foods, which foods to buy organically, steps to live a longer life, which we'll be talking about in the beginning, and even ways to add 5 years to your pet's life. And by the way, he has brought with him his dog, Zoe, who you will see on the screen there. We'll be hearing from Zoe, I'm sure, at some point. He's the former chairperson of the Wayland, Mass. Surface Water Committee and the present director of Lakes and Ponds Association Board of Directors. His many awards include recipient of the 2007 Alt Wheels Regional Environmental Hero Award, and a time winner of the National Gala Award, the highest honor in the field of special events and public celebrations. He helped renew the National Clean Water Act with a low-energy, nationally televised event that gathered 1 million signatures for a petition to renew the act. His work has been commended by 2 White Houses, the United Nations, John Glenn, the National League of Cities, and another wonderful environmentalist, Al Gore. So, because Jackson's work has developed from several different talents, we will discuss some of the influences in his life that helped inform his work, including health issues, the influence of his mother, the death of his cat, and his strong desire to know that he is doing something to improve the health of children, adults, and animals in the world. So you can hear there's a lot to talk about, but let me first say hello. How are you, Jackson? Nice to have you.
It's wonderful to be here.
Glad to have you. Maybe as a starter, can you say just a little bit about some of the influences in your life that led you to focus on health and the environment? Because we're going to be talking about those 2 particular areas a lot.
My mother, Pearl, my daughter's also a dancer in New York, Pearl.
Oh, okay.
And my mother, Pearl, cared about the environment, cared about water when I was little, and she was an early environmentalist before I heard about Rachel Carson. And she had a lot of effect on me. And then some of the other people who have also impressed me and inspired me were Buckminster Fuller, and who had many brilliant things. Dr. Harold Edgerton, the inventor of the strobe, sonar, radar, and other things at MIT. Dr. Edward Bernays, who invented public relations and was instrumental in lots of things. Leonardo da Vinci, and Mayo Khan, the original Superman, who was a health expert. And all these people featured out of the box thinking of not just looking at what is in front of you, but what was impossible to bring it into reality.
Wow. So those are inspiring people, especially their ability to say, I'm not going to say no to this, I'm going to look into it. It is possible.
Right.
All right.
A wider vision of what's possible than what we're looking at.
Well, that's a nice, impressive list of people. You've done a research and have had much influence on both health and environment. And this may take a while, but I think it's important for our audience to hear, if you're willing, to talk a little bit about the health challenges that led you to some of the discoveries of the value of healthy food, organic products, and steps to living a longer life as well. There's been several, that's a big area, but I think the first thing for us to talk about is some of the things that you've really learned about health, healthy living, and learned it through experience and also from friends as well, too.
Yep. Well, I've had some earth-shattering things that I'm glad to be here.
And so am I glad you are.
I'm on a mission. I was standing still and a car hit me from behind at about 55, 60 miles an hour.
Whoa.
I was stupidly way back then not wearing my seatbelt. It sent me through the windshield.
Oh.
And from a serious head injury, I had to learn to walk again, talk again, and I started thinking a lot more about health and life. And
You must have also been very determined, too,
oh yeah, yeah.
to come back from that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm kind of on a mission here.
Yeah,
And,
I hear you.
A few years ago, I had colon cancer, and I needed to, after that, just to make sure it would never return. I did a lot of research, talked to a lot of food and health experts, and I put together a program of health and tips on how humans can live 25 years longer and dogs live 5 years longer through food. And I'm going to discuss 17 simple things that you can do. If you do any 3 or 4 of them, a human can live 25 years longer with greater health, and you can start at any time.
I'd love you to expand on that, and for our audience to listen and think about, your own lifestyle and which of these things you're already doing and which of these things sound to you like that might help my health too. And that's one of the reasons I thought Jackson would be a wonderful guest to talk about some of that. So go right ahead.
Well, again, this came after a career in television and then producing large-scale multimedia events about the environment and important issues.
Yes.
They all raised money for or brought attention to different important causes.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, there are 17 things. Again, if you don't have to do all 17. If you do any 3 or 4, you can extend your life by.
Let's talk about
25
each.
years.
Let's talk about them.
And the number one toxin and waste of water is grass right now. It consumes more than 50% of our water. So I wanted to create a new grass because also a lot of the chemicals having to do with grass have health effects on the environment. And then we have issues about climate and climate change. And these are all serious things challenging humankind. So to create a newer grass, because there was no such thing as a low-maintenance grass, a low-water grass, I hired 4 of the smartest PhDs in turf science on the planet, who are grass experts, and we grew over 10,000 trials over a 10-year period. And finally, we found an aha batch, one batch of certain seeds that were more drought, disease, bug, and salt tolerant, but in certain proportions in this aha mix that slowed down the growth above the soil and put all its energy into the roots. And if I can show you this picture here, on the left side, you'll see that most grass grows fast above the soil.
Maybe turn it a little bit, yeah.
And it has shallow roots. And our grass has an interaction to slow down the growth above the soil, and then rather than 3 or 8 inch roots, it grows 6 to 8 foot roots. So the deep roots have many important properties of needing 75% less water, staying green in spite of heat of summer because it holds more water, staying green in the cold of winter because the roots go down under the frost line, and also it outcompetes weeds without chemicals. And I'll tell you.
Well, you're focusing on health, connections to health too.
Yes.
Can you talk about the chemicals and the fertilizer a little bit, that aspect too?
Yeah, and most people don't know that that lawn care chemicals are an endocrine, and pesticides are an endocrine disruptor in the brain, and they mimic female human estrogen. And they've been linked to many things. Again, it doesn't give you these things, but increases the risk for children of learning and behavioral disorders, and for us adults, it increases, again, it doesn't give you these things, but it increases the risk of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, asthma, sexual dysfunction, cancer, and leukemia. That's all, about a dozen diseases.
Good reason to try to not have that happen.
Yeah, and so you can, instead of chemical fertilizer, you can get the same results of growth and feeding your lawn by using organic fertilizer. Organic fertilizer rather than chemical fertilizer does the same thing without the health risks. And so that's, part of the reason I did this. Also, we have a problem, with climate. As you know, we've never had hurricanes and tornadoes and wildfires in December. And every week, somewhere in the country, they're having a once in 100 year, once in a 1,000
we keep hearing that.
Weather occurrence. So we need to address the climate and carbon. And so this deep root grass does that as well. And you don't, with this grass, you don't tear up the existing grass. All you do is you cut it brutal short, rake away the clippings, spread the seeds, spread a little bit of organic fertilizer to help start the grass, and then you water it. It sprouts in 1 week, and you have gorgeous grass in 1 month. And and with no chemicals. That's important. No lawn care chemicals. And it took many years of research and close to 10,000 trials, and I gave up about 3 years in when I didn't find any kind of breakthrough.
Yes.
For about a month, and then I read a book about Thomas Edison, and Edison, depending on who you believe, he did either 3,000 or 10,000 experiments to create the light bulb, with different gases, metals, dimensions of the metals in a glass tube. And he said that if he had stopped one experiment short of his aha moment, that he would have never invented the light bulb.
And I'm glad you mentioned that example, because I always think about when someone creates something and what gives them that impetus to keep going, and it's that belief that, I may be just one experiment away, and you did that. You really pursued it, when most people might have just said, well, it was a nice idea, but I guess I'm not going to get anything from it.
Yeah, Thomas Edison said it was a combination of perseverance and luck.
Yeah.
He lucked on it, and it was the same thing.
That's a good point.
Perseverance,
For you too, right?
Yeah, in what we did, and to get to our first generation, and we started selling it in 2010, and we've been selling it now for 15 years, It's now in its 7th generation. We've been improving it.
Keep
and
improving
improving
it. The roots get longer too.
Yeah, and the earlier versions had 4-foot plus roots. Now in its 7th generation, it has 8-foot roots, and that go down very deep under the frost line, so it never goes brown in the cold of winter. So when your neighbor's lawns are brown, heat of summer, cold of winter, this grass is green. And it's out at Logan Airport in front of the terminals. When people fly in and out of Logan and they see the grass green in January and February, they think, oh, it must be plastic. But it's really the
Yeah.
premium, ultra-low maintenance grass.
There's a couple projects I read about one that's in Newton Corner using your grass, and I think Littleton or something, some of the town.
Yeah, it's now in over 600,000.
And in Newton,
lawns.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's in over 600,000 lawns in all 50 states, all Canadian provinces, and sprinklings of lawns in about 20 countries.
Yeah.
And Littleton is an interesting thing. A few years back, they had a water crisis where they found that 2 of their 4 wells were polluted. They had to take them offline. And in the heat of a hot summer, with the wells offline and everyone watering their grass,
Right.
their water pressure was dangerously low. And so that one day there was a small kitchen fire that when the fire department came there wasn't enough pressure to reach the house. And the fire department stood there and watched the house burn to the ground, powerless to do anything about it. And so the town banned watering of the lawns, and but people were still watering in the middle of the night or digging
Yes.
private wells trying to get around it. And then they found out about Pearl's Premium that with the deep roots needs 75% less water, and the town promoted our grass and actually sold the grass out of the water department at cost. And they went from 150 gallons per person per day. That was the summer consumption of water in that town, Littleton, and down to 55 gallons per person per day, with a number, not everyone in the community, a number of people in the community using this grass that needs far less water. It turns out that in many communities they use 10 times the water on a summer day than they do on a winter day per household. 10 times the water, and that's most of that going to the silly lawn.
That's so
wasting
interesting.
our water.
Because you're really bringing up the importance of conservation of water too,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah. And also pollution. A lot of the lawn care chemicals run off and end up in our water table to increase cancer rates and all kinds of health issues that I mentioned before.
All right.
So it's best to, go for low water, no chemicals. And
Is there some more things you want to say about the lawn? Because I do have a little clip I want to show, but I don't want to interrupt if you want to say more about the lawn stuff, because it is important.
yeah, well, it has a lot of properties, beside the fact that it needs 75-80% less water.
Right.
It outcompetes weeds without chemicals. So you have few to no weeds in this lawn.
Okay.
From the roots going down so deep. In nature, whoever has the water wins. That's why many times the weeds with deeper roots than the grass will win out.
But now the grass can compete.
This grass has deeper roots than the weeds. And also it sequesters or pulls carbon out of the air at 12 times the rate of ordinary shallow root grass to help lessen climate change. We're in over 600,000 lawns right now.
Good.
Small lawns all over the country, and we're sequestering or pulling about 500 million pounds a year of carbon out of the atmosphere. I'd like to grow the company to be, if it could be 1/3.
First up
of the
tonight, we'll
water.
hear how one man's
Oh, here's a little clip that's, if we can, we can play that, a little clip that describes a lot of what Jackson has been talking about, and we could also show some pictures of some of the lawns, and then we'll come back and talk.
First up tonight, we'll hear how one man's quest to mow his lawn less often may have resulted in one of the most important ecological innovations of the decade. Come with me to meet Jackson Madnick, the man who may single-handedly conserve half the fresh water in the country, cut the U.S. carbon footprint by 5%, while preventing cancer, Alzheimer's, and learning disabilities in the process.
You're fine.
And get ready to put away your old lawnmower.
Mowing the lawn is a chore most of us could do without. But thanks to Jackson Madnick, there could be a lot less yard work in your future.
With this grass seed, you never have to water.
Well, it's never or seldom. This grass seed is the result of 6 years of research and 3 PhDs helping us with this. We developed a kind of grass seed that grows at 1/4 the rate of bluegrass, and also grows 12-inch deep roots. This is just a little segment we pulled out of the ground this morning, that normally the roots are only this long, and these roots go 12 inches.
And so why does that matter? Why does having deep roots matter?
When you have a brief downpour, most of that water goes right by the 2 or 3 inch roots, and it's down in the ground. So when your lawn gets dry and parched, there's still water there. You just can't reach that water. When you have longer roots, it can reach that water that's just beyond its reach.
So what's wrong with the kind of grass that we all have on our lawns right now?
Unfortunately, most of the grass around here is bluegrass, and it doesn't belong here. It was brought in during the 50s and the 60s. It was discovered in Europe, and it grew in places that it was cloudy and rained every day or very often. So that grass, over tens of thousands of years, grew very shallow roots.
So you don't have to water it. It grows very slowly, so you don't have to mow it very often. What is it, every 3 weeks, 4 weeks
Yeah,
perhaps?
in sunny areas every 3 to 4 weeks, in shady areas once every 4 weeks.
Pearl's premium grass seed could be on the fast track to big-time success thanks to Mass Challenge, a contest designed to help some of the best startup companies in the world get discovered, funded, and marketed.
So Mass Challenge is the world's largest global startup competition and accelerator, and the idea is to attract startups from all over the world, the most innovative, high-growth, high-impact startups, bring them together in one building here at Fan Pier in Boston, Massachusetts, and then connect them with whatever resources they need to help them launch and succeed and create high-growth businesses and jobs around the world.
So we're, a real product in the marketplace, moving along, but Mass Challenge is helping us focus our mission and our business to take it to the next step. And so Mass Challenge is giving us a lot of networking, a lot of resources, and helping us fine-tune our business to go for equity investment and to grow it to the next level and to make this a national and worldwide product.
Pearl's Premium is one of our most popular entrants. They have a great product. The consumer will love it. But what's also amazing about it is the environmental impact that it has by removing fertilizers from the equation and by reducing the burden on clean water.
Okay, so you've convinced me. I want this product, but do I have to rip up my entire lawn to put this down?
No, that's the single most asked question. You just cut your lawn as close to the soil as you can, rake away the clippings, put down the seed, keep it moist for a month. And the best time of year to plant it is either September or October. And you just keep it moist, and that time of year it rains half the time anyways, and you water it when it doesn't rain, and what comes up will be 80 to 90% Pearl's Premium. And then next season in the spring you can overseed it a little bit, and that's it. You'd be hard pressed to find your old grass.
The new grass seed also has another benefit: better health. That's because it only requires occasional organic fertilizer.
It never needs chemical fertilizer. And you can just cut the grass, leave the clippings in place, and it gets half the nutrients it needs. Because it accesses 12 inches of soil, it gets some of the other nutrients it needs, and then you can optionally, once or twice a year, use a small amount of organic fertilizer instead of chemical fertilizer. And there's a big difference. Chemical fertilizer mimics human estrogen, and it's also an endocrine disruptor in the brain. some of the health effects directly from the lawn itself, according to the Mass Department of Public Health, is learning and behavioral disorders for children, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, and increased risk of cancer and leukemia. And again, these are all increasing the risk of these things. You're not going to definitely get sick, you're just increasing the risk that you have.
So you're saying something as easy as replacing the kind of grass you use
Right.
could help create a purer environment for everyone.
Absolutely. If you can start off with a deeper root, drought-tolerant grass that needs less nutrients, needs less water, that you don't have to go with a fertilizer and a feed and weed type product, then you're lessening those chemicals and you're lessening the risk. I didn't mention that we're a 501c3 educational nonprofit.
Right.
And the profits of sales of our grass go to different charities and causes having to do with children, animals, and
Good.
environmental education. And every year we give away as much grass as we can afford to Habitat for Humanity for free lawns for wounded warriors.
Oh, wow, those are all good. And I've also learned from listening to you and reading that it does make a difference to animals, too.
Oh, absolutely. Dogs are more sensitive to chemicals. It stings their pads of their feet, and then they go inside and lick it off and ingest it.
Yeah.
And depending on the type of dog, but if they walk on chemically treated lawns, it can increase their risk of cancer between 4 and 6-fold. So you want to try and keep your dogs off of chemically treated lawns. If the lawn looks too perfect, don't let your dog walk on the lawn.
Yeah.
Unless if it's a Pearl's Premium lawn, it just naturally outcompetes the weed.
How about cats, too?
Cats as well.
Yeah.
And we have a 30-pound coon cat up in New Hampshire who loves to go outside and sit in our grass and nibble on the grass. And one of our customers sent us a picture of the 30-pound coon cat sitting in the grass watching a big brown bear walking by who looked at the coon cat and then looked away. And both the cat and the brown bear were nibbling on the grass.
Oh,
this spring.
God. Amazing. I'm going to shift it a little bit, and when you started to also talk about the colon cancer and some of the discoveries around health, and I'd like you to bring in not only some of the information about food and exercise, perhaps the things that people who are watching the show could really think about including in their lifestyle that might add life to them.
Yes. In the research I've done about health and longevity, the basic thing is you should filter your air with a HEPA air filter, filter your water to take the toxins out. One thing that most people don't know is avoid using a plastic shower curtain. The plastic shower curtain you buy weighs about 4 pounds. A year later it will weigh 2 pounds. And 2 pounds are off-gassing, a very toxic thing. So use a fabric shower curtain or glass doors. Don't use a crystalline cat litter. It's not good for the cat. It's not good for you.
Oops.
And you want to test for radon on your lower level of your house. And
Oh, yes, radon's a
usually
big problem, yeah.
Remediated. And test your water for lead and pollutants, and again filter the water. And one thing that's useful is to when you're pumping your gas, make sure you're on the side of the pump upwind, so it's blowing the fumes away from you, because the gas fumes are very carcinogenic. And so just pump upwind of the nozzle. And now the number one most important thing you can do for health to extend your life is to get 10 to 20 minutes of aerobic exercise a day. Not a slow walk, which is, is soothing, but a walk where you're walking fast, where your heart's pumping a little bit, and raising, your blood flow. And so a fast walk, a swim, bicycle, anything that gets your heart rate up. Something else is, and that can add up to 16 years to your life from research.
That's a lot.
That's the most single important thing. Also, socializing with friends. In these age, a lot of people don't talk to other people. So talk to people. Don't just text them and computer message them. Actually talk to your friends, and
That's an important one.
and that can add a couple years to your life. Eat fruits and vegetables and take a multivitamin. Steer clear of dyes and pesticides and herbicides and growth hormones. Read the label of things you get, and keep away from preservatives. Drink a lot of filtered water.
Yes.
These things can add years to your life. And look on the positive side. Don't dwell on the negative. That can add a few years to your life.
We just did a great advertisement for our program. That's why we have this. This is the sunny side of the street, and we don't want the things that you focus on to be only the negative stories in the news. How about all the people that are doing wonderful things, including you?
Well, thank you. And keep stress to a minimum. And some of the things, try and laugh. Listen to comedy or funny things, anything that can make you laugh.
Can I say something about that? There's a famous experiment that was done where this was with cancer patients, and one group of people had the usual cancer treatment, and the other group of the people had the usual cancer treatment plus watching an hour of what was the show? I can't remember the name of the show, but
kind of comedy.
It was a comedy.
Yeah.
And the remission rate for the successful rate for the people who watched, A Candid Camera was the show,
Yeah.
and laughed a lot, and humor became a part of how they operated in their interactions, and their longevity was much more.
And they'll be cured and be healthier much faster.
Yep, I really think that's an important one. Humor gets missed.
Yeah.
And even people sometimes who are fighting things that you and I might say, oh my God, how do they stand it? Sometimes their ability to see the absurdity of life and take a bigger look helps them actually physically heal better. That's what you're getting at. There's a physical consequence.
And also dancing.
Yes.
Even dancing in your kitchen, in your house. Just turn up music and just dance.
There are now Alzheimer's dance groups. No, it's Parkinson's disease.
Right.
Dancing, and that really has helped the physical symptoms of Parkinson's.
And then singing. Singing's very important. Even if you can't carry a tune, when you're driving, turn up your radio in your car and sing along with the music. And Dr. Norman Cousins wrote a book years ago about laughing and singing create positive endorphins, help you heal and live longer and be healthier.
One thing Jackson, one thing on that, we've done a lot of shows on the power of healing for music, but one woman who was a Barbra Streisand impressionist was doing a gig, and they asked her, how have you had any, I asked, have you had any examples of where music really makes a difference? And she said, I did a concert in a nursing home where they wheeled a woman who had dementia and had not spoken for 3 years, and she was in front, and they said, sure, it's fine, you can put the person in front. And she started singing her medley of Barbra Streisand songs, and she noticed the woman was mouthing the words, and then she noticed that she was correctly mouthing the words, so she went over there and put her arm around her and said, sing it with me, and the woman started singing, and the nurses freaked out. They couldn't believe they hadn't heard a sound out of her. Yep. But the music and the singing and the joy of that was more powerful than all the things that were preventing.
Yeah, so that you can't underestimate the power of laughing and singing.
Yes.
And dancing almost as good, but
Yeah, these are very good
those
points.
are-
Keep going. I like it.
yeah. And then you want to lower your blood pressure if you can through exercise and diet. If you can lower your blood pressure, you can add up to 15 years to your life.
Sometimes you could combine things. If you don't like
Yeah.
exercising, you can have music on and exercise to the music too.
And some of these things I've already talked about, and I'm going to talk about in a moment, also lower your blood pressure. So whatever
Good.
you can
All
do to
right.
lower your blood pressure.
Let's hear more. That's good.
And then, and one thing that's important is looking at your brothers and sisters and your parents and your grandparents. Look at what chronic disease might be going on in your family and take small steps to address those things, whether it's diabetes or blood pressure or whatever is in your elders. Take small steps to lessen those things, and that can add 4 to 6 years to your life. And then one thing, I brought my dog with me today. I've always had dogs.
Glad you did.
And my dog is a service dog. We visit military and children's
Oh, yeah.
hospitals to cheer up patients. But my dog makes me happy. And there are actually studies that have found that if you have a dog, it adds 6 to 10 years to your life.
I am not surprised. I think about what does it feel like if when you come home from work, let's say, if you don't have your dog with you, and there's somebody there that's always glad to see you and is cuddly, and you have a place to put all the warmth and love inside you onto as well.
Yeah.
I just think animals, particularly the pets that people have, really are such a big contributor to well-being.
Yeah. There was an interesting study where they looked at identical twins, and that generally identical twins live to the same age.
Right.
When one identical twin passes away, the other one will pass away within 6 months or a year, generally. And it's not out of sadness and loss. It's they have the same. They came from the same egg that split. They have
Exactly, the
the same body.
genes.
They have the same natural lifespan, whether it's 50, 60, or 100 years old. They will pass away at about the same age. And they looked at 200 pairs of identical twins that had similar diets, similar exercise levels, and the only difference was, for some reason or other, one had a dog for most of adult life, and the other one didn't. The one with the dog lived 6 to 10 years longer, which
Interesting.
meant the dog was extending their life.
Yep.
And then what they didn't expect is that the one with the dog got colds, flus, viruses, and disease less often than the identical twin without the dog. And
Better health in
better
general.
health and longer longevity. And 6 to 10 years with a dog, and they found 3 years more with a cat. They're more
Yes.
aloof.
Yeah.
They're not-
Well, you know what I like about that too is that you think about it, that a dog requires you to get out and walk it.
Yeah.
And not only do you get the exercise, very much people stop when they see an adorable dog like Zoe here, and they ask you about the dog, they want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it produces a lot of positive energy, I
Yeah.
think,
Absolutely. And then what a lot of people don't know is brushing and flossing your teeth, especially flossing your teeth. There's a lot of bacteria in your mouth that gets into your blood and affects you, so that it's helpful. Studies have found if you floss once a week, it adds a single year to your life. However, if you floss every day, it adds 6 years to your life. So that's something.
So when the
that's
dentist
helpful.
is telling you that, you should pay attention.
Yeah.
Yep, I hear you.
And then controlling your weight. If you can stay on the thin side, it can add 6 plus years to your life. And what a lot of people don't know, they struggle with losing weight. And the simplest way is to go for a small plate. Before the 50s, all the plates were 9 inches in diameter. And then they went to a standard size of 13 inches in diameter. And if you just have a small plate and you don't go back for seconds, you can lose more weight than lots of diet systems. And, so it's a simple way to lose weight. Small plate, don't go for a second.
It's the ability to make the choice to do that, to say I'm not going to take which is tricky, but if you there's evidence to show, as you're saying, that if you can do those steps, it does help.
And then the next thing I don't always discuss, especially if there's children in the audience or people are sensitive to this, but mutually agreeable, frequent sex or lovemaking between adults. And the studies say 3 or more times a week. And that can add 8 to 12 years to your life. It's both aerobic exercise, potentially, and it adds an emotional, loving element. And
I think if you think about the general theme that people really live longer when they have people around them that care about them and they're close to and they trust enough to be intimate, all that fits together with what you're saying.
Yeah, but again, the important thing that it's mutually consenting sex, that no one's influencing or forcing.
No, definitely not. That's a good point to make sure.
Mutually agreeable.
Of course.
And then it's very important at the first sign of a health problem, don't keep it to yourself. Go see a doctor, go see a dentist, go see an acupuncturist. Especially us men, we take better care of our cars and our dogs than our own body. Oh, I'm okay. You know, go, if you have any minor thing, go see a doctor, dentist. And
take care of it.
Or download an acupuncture chart without needles, without paying a penny. See where the points are. If you're having an eye or an hearing or an organ problem, you can just see where the points are and you just press on it and in a little circle so you don't miss the acupuncture point.
It makes the point, too, about what people decide to do when they're scared. Because I've had people like, oh, my mother died of such and such, and I have noticed something, and I'm so scared, but I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to find out. And a part of them knows that they need to do exactly what you said, and another part is given to fear. So they need a chance to talk about the fear sometimes. As a therapist, that's what happens a lot. We talk about it, and then they'll go. They'll go.
And it turns out that early intervention, don't just ignore it, look into it right away, can add 10 to 12 years to your life. All these things I'm talking about,
they're so important.
To 130 years, you can't.
you can be like Methuselah,
but if you do any 3 or 4 of these things I'm discussing, you can add 25 years. And then sleep. Sleep is important. And the research says 7 to 8 hours a day is best. You know, less and more is not so great. And then one thing that's very interesting in studies is show up early. That if you're running late and you're rushing and it's just stressing, it takes years off your life. But if you walk out, you know, if you're thinking you got to be someplace at 4 o'clock, leave early enough to be there at 3:45. So you're driving relaxed.
What you're talking about is executive function skills too. In other words, planning, time management, and seeing that you're actually really helping yourself. I even think when I have to give a talk or I do something where I have to be in front of a bunch of people, I always like to go early. Get there early, see the situation, relax, settle into it, and then do the thing.
Well, that is going to add years to your life.
I'm glad to hear this news. I want to be doing this show in another 25 years.
Yeah. And then something else that's really interesting is self-belief. We all have, whether we talk about it or not, we might have an age we think we're going to live to, and it might be influenced by how old our mother or father lived to. Throw that out the window. Add 10 to 20 years to whatever internal number you had, and generally you'll live to that age.
And there's some evidence of that, isn't there?
Oh, lots of evidence. Like George Burns,
right,
comedian, He drank lots of whiskey. He smoked 5 to
Cigars.
7 cigars a day, and he believed he was going to live to the summer of 100. He lived to the summer of 100. And there's lots of other people. You just have to believe. So throw out whatever number you thought you were going to live to, add 10 or 20 years, and if you don't get hit by a bus, that most likely you'll live to that age.
It's another of the many examples you're giving about how the way you think about something, the narrative you have in your head, can actually affect the outcome and in health issues too.
Yeah, that self-belief is
I really think it's very, very important.
powerful thing. And then one of the most simplest and most powerful things you can possibly do, the people around you, don't take them for granted. Tell them that you love them. Just surprise them with, you're important to me. I love you. It will blow their mind.
I had one, my wife and I went to one talk where the psychologist said, if you have somebody in your life that you really love and means a lot and you feel so strongly positive about what they do, write a letter, put it in a frame, and give it to them. And we did that with a friend. And I think people in our society very often don't hear all the good things about themselves. They only know that no one complained about them and that's their good news, rather than why not tell the person while they're there what they mean to you and let them hear it. I think that's good to do for the person who says it, and also good for the receiver. It's a win-win.
Absolutely. You'll live longer, and that person will live longer.
I would believe that.
Thing. I appreciate what you do. Thank you. I love you.
Exactly.
It will.
Those are great words.
They will change their world forever.
I really believe that very strongly.
And just you have to just getting back to appreciate what you have. Don't linger on the negative. That there's all kinds of little issues we're all dealing with. But think take a moment to think about what's good in your life, what you have, the positive stuff, and then getting back to eating healthy food,
That's probably important to talk about. Lastly, probably.
It's very important. And there are some things that I've researched that you must eat organically, and other things that you can eat conventionally to save money. That either the skin keeps out the toxins, or there are things that they don't use toxins on those things. And I have a food list that I've put together.
It would be good to say a little about it. That would be good.
Yeah. And if anyone calls me, I can send them this list. It's more complete of all things that are healthy and good for you. And it's broken out into things that must be organic versus things that could be...
Could you read a little of that? I think that would be helpful, very specific for people to hear.
Yeah. And... the things that need to be organic, meat, water, milk, coffee, peaches. Peaches are the worst. They use 45 pesticides on
Oh my goodness. There goes peaches.
Apples have to be organic. Removing the skin does nothing, because the skin is transparent. The toxins go right to the core of the apple. So it has to be. And then celery has to be, cherries, peppers have 40 pesticides on peppers. Only get organic peppers. Celery has 29 pesticides. Get only
Organics.
organic.
Yeah, that's when you're shopping. It really matters.
And then spinach has to be organic. Lettuces have some of the most toxic pesticides.
Really?
So you want to make sure that your lettuce is organic. Grapes have 35 pesticides. They have to be organic. And potatoes want to be organic, but they have high levels of pesticides and fungicides on them, so they need to be always organic. And pears need to be organic. Sweet potatoes need to be organic. By the way, sweet potatoes are better than regular potatoes. They're much more nutrition, healthier for you, sweet potatoes. And are better than white potatoes and bell peppers. Now, I want to stress a few things that that actually are anti-carcinogenic.
Yes,
that
good
must
for
be,
people to hear that too.
That must be organic, such as beets, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, kale, mushrooms, red onions, not just any onion, but red onions, and lastly, tomatoes. That last list are things that are extremely anti-carcinogenic. The number one most anti-carcinogenic thing is ginger. And you can just grate up a little ginger. It's hard on your stomach for breakfast or lunch, but you can just grate a little bit of ginger in with your evening meal. Not a lot, just a very small amount. You can barely taste it.
I've noticed that ginger really makes a difference in settling the stomach in tea.
Yep, ginger tea. And garlic and onions have to be organic, and ginger are good. And then conventional, those are the things that are healthy in general.
Yeah.
But must be organic. But to save money, if you just wash those things first, they don't need to be organic. Asparagus, avocados. Interesting, the very thin little skin on the avocado keeps 100% of the toxins out.
Wow.
So you don't have to waste money on getting your avocados organic. Get them much cheaper, conventional.
So that's an exception there to organic, yeah.
And bananas, the thick skin of bananas keeps all the toxins out.
Okay.
Corn can be conventional, doesn't need to be organic. Cantaloupes, cauliflower, eggplant, kiwi, grapefruit, the thick skin keeps out all the toxins. Mangoes, pineapples, and peas, if sweet and frozen, and papaya. And in the conventional, non-organic, the most important things to be anti-carcinogenic are broccoli and red cabbage.
Oh, good.
And,
okay.
And so every day I make up a little soup to myself.
Yeah, what
every day.
kind of things are in there?
It's all the things that
you just said,
here.
yeah.
That's broccoli and onions and mushrooms and tomatoes and kale and spinach and so on, and so
people are probably asking, how does it taste?
You want to try it?
Well, we have to heat it up, yeah.
Right.
But you can you'll try it cold a little bit.
It's actually delicious, and I mean, to think that healthy is this delicious.
Yeah,
and tasty,
that breaks the stereotype.
So I make a little stew or soup.
You do it every day?
Every day.
Yeah.
And I make different, varieties of these, about 15 different anti-carcinogenic things. I do 6 to 8 of them in different volumes, mix in a little bit of organic cheddar cheese and other cheeses. And it's really, really tasty.
Well, this has been incredibly helpful, the list, and we have just a couple minutes. I just want to ask you one question, a general one, which is like, if there are people watching who are interested in invention, creativity, research, what would you say, any suggestions for them that you think you would say, because you've been able to really use those qualities to do all these many different things, and you didn't limit yourself. You went to a lot of different areas. Yeah. Anything you would say to encourage people that are trying to develop that in themselves? What helps?
Think outside the box. Just look at a need and do it. Anything that isn't done, you can do it. just make experiments, reach out, especially with AI now and the computers. You can ask a question, and it'll help lead you toward that direction. And don't just accept what's going on as there's nothing else. I just like when I started working on this project and I called these 4 different PhD experts in turf, and I started out with I'd like to start, create a lower maintenance grass that needed no chemicals, hardly any water, and would outcompete weeds. And they said, "What? If that was possible, it'd exist now." What you're talking about is impossible.
So you can't do that is the message, right?
Yeah, and I said, humor me. What would you suggest? What are the best, seed types that are more drought, disease, bug, and salt tolerant? And so don't take, it can't be done, otherwise it exists.
That's wonderful.
Just think about what you'd like to see come into existence and put some effort into it. And now with the wonderful AI, it can help you reach the unthinkable, the impossible. Everything we know today was an impossible miracle. Phones, computers, everything. So in the next 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, things we can't even imagine are possible. It's just a matter of decide you want to do something about something and think outside the box, what you've never thought of before.
Very good advice, Jackson. And I would add to that what's implied in what you're saying is that you have a dialogue inside your own head that is filled with affirmations and clear goals to say to yourself, this is something I'm going to do and I want to do, and I'm going to really stick with it, as long as I can. And I also think visualization is another thing that's very important. Just being able to see yourself almost succeeding at something. When you hear all the negative stuff, if you have another message inside your own head, it helps you persist as you did.
Yeah, I don't know if we have one more minute.
We got exactly 1 minute.
Okay. I don't normally talk about this, but you can cure anything with a combination of some of the things I talked about. That if I've cured myself of the head injury, of learning to speak again.
Yes.
And I've shared these tips with other people, and when they actually do it, it's, there's 5 things that are complementary. If you do it, you can cure yourself of anything. Brain cancer, breast cancer, organ problems, anything. I had a friend who cured himself of pancreatic cancer, which is
a very tough, deadly one.
So you lie down, you relax, starting with your feet to your head. Just concentrate on relaxing all the parts of your body so there's no tension. You're lying down with your eyes closed. And then before that, you get a book or just go on the internet to see what a healthy heart is, a healthy pancreas is. And then with every breath coming in, with your eyes closed, visualize that breath is going to your heart, your pancreas, whatever you need to fix, your hand.
Yes.
And that energy's going in there and surrounding with like a glow of white light. And then with every exhale, the problem
goes away. It's being ejected.
And intention, negativity, let it out.
I gotta stop you there because you hit the most important point. That itself is a lot of very good advice. And if people are listening, research that, look it up a little bit too. I want to thank you enormously. It was great to have you talking and saying.
And that in combination with laughing and singing in the privacy of your car.
It's a great cocktail.
And pressing on acupuncture points for that.
Tapping too is another thing. All those things. You're hearing a lot of wonderful ideas. And what I want to say to the audience is I hope this was really helpful and illuminating for you as it was for me to discuss this with Jackson too. So thank you again, and thank you everybody for watching, and please tune in again soon for another On the Sunny Side of the Street. Take
Grab
care,
your
everybody.
coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street.